Welcome in to another edition of the Coach Shinnick Show. This is head coach Pete Shinnick, football coach at the University of West Florida. I'm Will Kennedy, and this is a playoff edition. We like it. We like to do as many of these as we can on into the postseason. We're here every week breaking down the game that was and looking forward to the game that comes next. And that's always a good thing in the playoffs. So let's talk about what just happened. Limestone came in first round of the playoffs. A lot of firsts took place, including first game ever at Penn Air Field. Wasn't a typical Florida day, but it all worked out. Argos get a big win, 45-19 the final, but the atmosphere was great, and you guys really came out and performed, and I think that's tougher than some people think when you're the home team and you're the favorite and the pressure's on you.
Well, I thought our guys handled everything really well, and we had talked about, last year's first home playoff game that we'd ever had. It was at Blue Wahoo Stadium, so this is the first on-campus home playoff game that we got. And, obviously last year didn't go the way we'd hoped, but we talked about this year being prepared, being ready, and could not be happier for how our guys responded. Felt like Limestone, what an amazing story, tremendous success this year for them. To go from no wins to 8 wins to get into the playoffs is a tremendous accomplishment in and of itself. And really, I thought they did some really unique things on kind of both sides of the ball that created some excitement. I felt early on they were able to connect on a couple things, had a couple drives, but man, did our defense come up huge with the stops and the fourth down stops and keeping them out of the end zone, keeping them, from scoring points. I thought was just an amazing start to this thing. And then offensively, again, really love what we were able to do running the ball. And we missed on a couple of passes throughout the course of the game, but the ones we connected on were great. And, again, the running game and the O-line, I think, really stood out.
Yeah, as Coach just mentioned, you stop them on a fourth down there, first possession, you get the football back, you get an opportunity to get the offense going a little bit and score first. And it was Pee-wee with the legs again, as we've kind of seen. He takes one in from 19 yards out. Really nice run.
Yeah, great run and design set up for him. And I thought, did a really nice job of, kind of seeing everything that was there. O-line and our wide receivers blocked extremely well. We were in a 4 wide receiver set, and he just took it off to the left side and really made one guy miss. And, like he does, that'll be the first of, his 4 touchdowns that he'll account for on the day.
And that was all set up, of course, by an interception by Will Breland, who made my personal first team All-GSC team, every position I put him at. Yeah. Now, defense, as you mentioned, was fantastic. And speaking of, they get a good drive going to answer, drive all the way down. They're going point blank at you. Your defense comes up with a stop at the goal line, which then leads to a Griff Sarah field goal.
Yeah, huge. They went under center, and we were able to get some push, and they fumbled the ball. And then the next time they tried to run right at us with, their all-conference running back, 1,400-yard rusher, which – I think we're the first group to hold them under 4 yards a carry for a game. And so, again, great effort. And then, we had to get out of that area and, got the ball and started to march and started to churn up some yardage.
I thought it was going to be like last year where we had several 99-yard drives that worked out for touchdowns, but we'll take the field goal. And you mentioned Trey Stewart, fantastic running back. And if you can ever say that he had the quietest 100-yard game you're probably ever going to see on 30 carries or so. They would get a touchdown back. They got a big tight end, McCray, really talented, come up with a big play, and you feel like you're dominating the game, and all of a sudden it's 10-6 because they missed the extra point.
Yeah, and, I thought great job. We had looked at their extra point team all week long, and they were close to getting some block. Their guy did not attack the ball well. We felt like he'd have to speed up if he wasn't going to get one blocked against us. He sped up and missed it on his own. We didn't have to block it. So great credit to our defense in really rushing him and charging that. We've got some really athletic guys that come off the edge, do a great job of putting pressure on the kicker, and, that paid dividends for us right there.
Kind of felt, it was cold, it was rainy, it's a little bit of a slow half, and then it got Rod Serling twilight zone in the last minute or so. You guys go on a drive, and inside the final 2 minutes of the first half, you get another touchdown with Pee-wee taking another one in. Good solid drive. Running game starts to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, I really like what we were able to do, and we had missed on a couple of things earlier. I felt like we connected on some, missed on some. We were just off just a hair. I thought their D-line did a nice job of, kind of the movement that they do. They line up with extremely wide ends, which creates a little more pressure on your tackles. Again, I think our tackles have been fantastic, just a different look. And then to be able to get that touchdown, and then with our kickoff coverage team, again, they were the number number one kickoff return team in the country coming in. And we feel like we've got the number one kickoff cover team since Delta State game, where obviously we gave up points on that. But since that time, we feel like we've been really, really, really good. And to see our guys fly down there, Key Wetzel, Devin Thomas, make the hit, get the ball stopped inside the 20. And then, I was getting ready to call a timeout, and they throw the ball twice, and it's like, oh, wow, we're going to have a chance to get the ball back, and we're going to be in great shape.
And then they punt it, and then there's a flag and another flag, and I thought it was a fantastic stiff arm from David Durden on the return, but they didn't like it.
Still do after watching it on film. It was a tremendous stiff arm. He did a great job.
Long and short of that, we get penalties that nullify each other. Let's go back and kick it again. We've kind of seen a high snap, and you almost got the previous kick before the penalties, came really close. Block, punt, scoop and score. Demarie Givens turns it into points.
No, Ye did a fantastic job, and really, Devin Thomas set it up also because he was pressuring the shield and was able to create a little bit of a gap there for Ye. Ye came, got the hands out, smacked it, scooped and scored. You always love when a guy can get the block and the score. Great momentum change there to end the half. We were hoping to get the ball back, take a shot, do something.
Didn't need to.
Exactly. Worked out perfect.
24-6 is the score at the half. That all happened like in a phone booth in the last couple seconds of the half. And the good news was it all worked out before the game. You deferred, and you're going to get to come out of the locker room, get the football back. Argos are on top big. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll dive into half number 2 from the first-round playoff win over Limestone next on the Coach Shinnick Show.
Real change occurs in that split second, a moment of connection among people.
With a common purpose,
a shared vision,
and a unified goal. What will you change?
What will change you? The University of West Florida. No limits.
Can health insurance help cure loneliness? Can it take care of your best friend too? Or hold your hand for 9 months? Can it be there for you at 3 a.m.? Or inspire you to go the extra mile? We think so, which is why every day we ask ourselves, what else can health insurance do? Come find out.
Welcome back into the Coach Shinnick Show. Coach Pete Shinnick and Will Kennedy with you. 24-6 was our score at halftime in the big game with Limestone, first-round playoff game in Super Region 2. You guys come out of the locker room, get the football, momentum's all flowing your way. Doesn't work out on that drive, but you mentioned the defense. Fantastic. You punt the football, they get it back, and then your defense holds and gets it back to your offense. And you turn it up, and it's Ravion Hargrove who ended up having a fantastic game, but it really, the big play was a 40-plus yard run.
Yeah, no, Ravion was fantastic all day long. I think he ended up averaging over 13 yards a carry. That drive kind of sparked a lot of what we'd seen. Went back when we were talking about him at Mississippi College, shuts the ball twice for 25 yards or something like that. So he's been explosive the last, 20, 30 carries that he's had. And really on that drive kind of settled in, got moving, and really got to the place that we'd hoped he would. And then we got down there, and man, he just made it clean. Really nice blocking by the O-line, and he gets in untouched.
Kudos to the coaching staff for leaving the guy in there, because sometimes the guy pops the 40, 50-yard run, and you bring him out and you put in the other guy, the goal line back. But we're good to see 3K get the touchdown there.
Well, no, we tell those guys, look, man, if you get a big one to get down there, we're probably gonna give you an opportunity unless we see something out of you that it's like, okay, you need a break. But no, great job by him, and I mean he really went untouched.
Get at least one in there. And really, all of a sudden, Limestone's having to play from behind, and maybe not an offense that's geared towards that, but they were able to strike back after that. And Trey Stewart gets a touchdown run and, tightens it up a little bit there.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job. And again, I just felt like in the end, they were going to run out of some options. And, I think they got the ball on the perimeter with their screen. They did some things. And, I think when it got down to them having to put together consistent drives, I think that's where our physicality came in. I loved how our DBs were breaking on the ball. I love how we were, wide receivers would come get close to catching a ball, and we had great physicality. You saw a lot of balls, whether dropped or broken up. They did a good job getting close, and really it was just from there on out, it was just going to be us do we take care of business and do we do what we need to do?
Yeah, defense with a couple of interceptions, forced fumble, of course, the block punt we saw earlier. Back and forth a little bit, and you're kind of there. It's 31-13, and then it gets weird. It's a punt that David Durden, and really their punter booming the football, and it drove Dave back a little more than he thought, he told me, and all of a sudden, ball's in the end zone, and they're on it. It's a touchdown, and they're back in the game.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic of Dave. I think, when you look at the sky and you look at the trajectory of that thing, I mean, really, it bounced right off his chest because I think he was thinking it was going to be more of a hands deal, and it just shifted a little bit. And then they end up recovering it, and boom, all of a sudden now that lead, that comfort that you felt, you're like, okay, we got to do something. And fortunately, we get the ball back, and our offense does something.
They had missed another extra point, so it was 31-19. And yeah, David Durden had that punt, had dropped a pass earlier. It was probably a sure touchdown. And then, as you do if you're a good player, you turn around and make another ridiculous catch. He likes that same part of the end zone towards the good and center. Defender's right there. Dime from Pee Wee Jarrett, just on the money.
Well, yeah, and the pictures that you see, film I don't think does it justice, but, Morgan got some tremendous shots of that. And again, another amazing catch by Dave, kind of contorted, turning, flipping back. Great ball by Pee Wee. He's floating out to his left. He puts great air on the ball, drops a dime in there, and a great answer. Because again, Dave, up till that point, he dropped a sure 80-yard touchdown pass, 70-yard touchdown pass, and then the punt, and then to come up with that, I thought was huge.
Yeah, and it went back and forth for a little while. Your defense, absolutely outstanding. They're getting after Dustin Noller at that point. Keon Voisin with a big pass breakup. I mean, a lot of hard hitting from the defense. And then Pee Wee, you mentioned it, not the greatest day, and we've seen this before. You're going to look at the passing stats and say, well, the numbers and the completion percentage, not all his fault. But he ran for 3. And he punches your last one in and makes it the 45-19 spread. It would be at the end.
I thought it was a great drive. Again, Ravion got us down there and, tried to keep him in. He started to cramp a little bit. And so then we just went with another quarterback run option, and our O-line blocked it perfectly, and he goes untouched for the touchdown. So great job really putting that drive and really kind of putting it away. And so could not be more happy with, how our guys responded. I think to play the way we did offensively, which I would say was good, but it wasn't great. I think I think we created our own problems. It kind of gives our offense a little bit going into this next game. Okay, hey, we got some things we need to clean up and some things that we need to get done, which we've seen us do all year long. So I'm excited about this week and what we're going to be able to get done, and then looking forward to having the opportunity to continue to play.
Yeah, to win 45-19 when your offense doesn't have their best day, but special teams comes up huge. Defense is outstanding. When all three phases are happening, it's a good thing. So 45-19 the final. Argos move on to the second round. Coach is going to join us again, last segment of the program, to talk about the next matchup, which is a rematch.
Yeah.
Delta State, a de facto Gulf South Conference title game in the playoffs. So Coach will be back. Coming up next on the program, we're going to dive into the other fall sports, NCAA action that was wrapping up for volleyball and women's soccer. And also we'll talk basketball as winter sports are underway. That's next on the Coach Shinnick Show.
What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
Welcome back into the Coach Shinnick Show. We've shifted over here to the University of West Florida Fieldhouse to talk a little more about the other fall sports that are in play and the beginning of winter sports. Let's start with wrapping up the rest of the fall sports. Busy week in NCAA play and out on the cross-country trails as well for 3 programs here at the University of West Florida. It was another incredibly busy postseason week for UWF athletics with multiple teams competing in NCAA tournaments. Women's soccer came agonizingly close to another trip to the D2 Final Four. The Argos knocked off top-seeded Embry-Riddle 2-1 on goals from Minami Okada and Maya Swinton to capture the South Region title. That set up an Elite Eight matchup with Columbus State up in Columbus, Georgia. UWF jumped out to a 3-1 lead in the second half with Blair Cohen, Brianna Pope, and Swinton scoring goals, but Columbus State closed with 3 goals in the final 24 minutes, with the game winner coming 3 minutes from full time. The Argos finished the season 18-4-1. Congrats to Coach Joe Bartlinski and the squad on a fantastic season. Volleyball made the trip down to Tampa for the NCAA South Region Tournament as the 5th seed. The Argos opened with a 5-set, heart-stopping win over Eckerd, avenging an early season loss. Avery Rogers and Jenna Zidio led the way with 15 and 14 kills respectively. UWF advanced to the regional semifinal to take on Tampa. These two teams battled to a 5-set thriller in the regional final last year, but it was the defending national champion Spartans taking a straight sets win this time around. The Argos spent the whole season ranked in the top 25. They finished the year with a 28-6 record and another Gulf South Conference championship and NCAA tournament appearance. Both UWF cross-country teams finished the season at the NCAA South Regional down in Lakeland, Florida. Zach Fenton turned in one of the best times in UWF program history, pacing the Argo men to a 15th place finish. Fenton narrowly missed out on qualifying for the NCAA championships, but did earn all-region honors. Chloe Rook and Leah Fenton led the charge for the women as the Argos placed 10th overall. Congratulations to all those Argo athletic programs. Coming up next here on the program, we'll talk basketball. We'll catch up with Coach Jeff Burkhammer and Stephanie Lawrence-Yelton on the Coach Shinnick Show.
I need to try it first.
Groundbreaking orthopedic care is more than top-rated quality scores, more than leading-edge treatment options, more than world-class care close to home. It's all that and more. Andrews Institute. Groundbreaking care.
Welcome back into the Coach Shinnick Show. It's time to talk a little hoop. Both the men's and women's basketball teams here at the University of West Florida were busy last week with some home games. Let's spend a little time with both Coach Jeff Burkhammer and Stephanie Lawrence-Yelton. Coach, games come fast and furious here. We're into kind of that start of the holiday season, which is kind of basketball time. You guys have gotten off to a start at a crossover tournament and then a couple tough conference games to get going.
Well, I thought we played pretty well the first weekend. Played kind of how we wanted to the first night. Second night was a grinded out, hard-fought game. And then this past weekend just didn't play very well. Didn't play hard enough the first night on Thursday. And then Saturday I thought we played harder, but didn't play well enough. And give Lee credit. That's as well as I've seen a team play probably in the 8 years I've been in the GSC. The first half, it was an offensive clinic. They were really, really good. And we were trying. They just played much better than we did, and they made it seem like every shot. And it was a hard game. It was a hard game for us to play in. We got to find a way now to rebound and recover and get to the next game. And so we'll change some things. We'll change lineups. We'll change some things that we're doing and see if we can get better.
You guys then turn around and jump out on the road right around the holidays with Thanksgiving kind of wedged in between. I think a lot of people don't realize it's tough on you, a coach. It's tough on the student athletes as well.
Well, that's why those two home games in the league were so important this past weekend, because we knew now we're going to go on the road for 3 straight road games, and that becomes a little bit more difficult. Thanksgiving's always a time for college players. I think the 4 years I played in college, I was never home. We played in the tournament somewhere every Thanksgiving. So that's just kind of college basketball today. That's the way the schedule's set up. So we'll head to Mississippi College and head to Delta. Also not an easy trip, a trip that's tough to play in those places. But guys will be excited about playing. It's the holidays. You don't have to worry about classes. You just go and play basketball.
We saw in the crossover, Dan Sofield got to his 1,000th point, great milestone for him. And then we saw conference play start, and I think you knew that, and everybody knew we're going to all year long. You're probably going to see every GSC team. They know who he is,
yeah,
and they know who to find, and they're going to make him work. And he's working extremely hard just to get any kind of look.
Yeah, we got to do a better job helping him get better shots, and some of the changes we're making maybe will help him do that. But yeah, people aren't going to leave him. They're just going to face guard him basically. They'll be physical with him. They're going to grab him to hold him off screens, and just something he's got to be able to handle. He's bigger and stronger now, so that's one of the things that hopefully he would be able to do better. But yeah, he's got a target on him, being a preseason all-league guy, one of our best players, and a guy that defenses are going to pay attention to for sure.
What do you need to kind of happen around him a little bit? You mentioned, finding other ways to get him. Some of that comes from got to find that other consistent scoring.
Yeah, we got to be able to score a little bit better inside, get Wendell a little bit more involved, get him more shots. He didn't get enough shots the other night. And then some of our other guys have got to make plays and make shots along with him. I think we're a better shooting team than we've been in the past. We just haven't shown that yet. So hopefully we'll start shooting the ball better. Get some penetration of pitch outs to open shooters, get some things off spacing. We're going to play a little bit differently these upcoming games. So we'll see if that helps us, and we'll just keep making changes until we figure it out. And I told him the other day, we'll figure it out. I just like to figure it out sooner than later.
Coach, season is underway. I mean, you guys have kind of gotten off to a little weird start as far as how often you're playing, but you've played some good competition pretty early. Kind of give us the early results.
Yeah, I mean, we've had to be on the road and do some big things on the road early in this season. It was nice to be at home for 2, but, I mean, our schedule's not easy. We're playing the top teams in our league here in the next few weeks, a couple of those on the road, and it's been a tough going here before Christmas break.
You guys had that one at Eckerd against a ranked team and to kind of start things on the road, as you mentioned, and then kind of found your offense against Shorter at home in a nice game, and then a really tough one with Lee. But as you mentioned, right into conference and testing yourself.
Yeah, this has been a challenging schedule. You know, when you're playing the first 2 of your first 3 games are against nationally ranked teams that are in the top 25 in the country, you're really challenging yourself early. But, you know, we've stepped up to that challenge. I think our players have really stepped in. I think the one thing that's really defines us right now is our heart and our effort and our great attitude. And the basketball stuff will take care of itself if you got those things in place.
Gets weird when you throw Thanksgiving into the mix as well, and so, but with a team that you have a lot of new faces, you were kind of mentioning to me, kind of learning each other still, trying to figure out roles. Does it help to kind of have this week between games before you go to Mississippi?
You know, it's been nice to actually have this week. You know, we were able to take an extra day off, and although it wasn't a complete day off, we did some community service with our team, so got them off campus, got them in our community, and got them kind of out of their own heads. And then we'll get back in the gym today and, you know, start preparing for Mississippi College and Delta State, which will be a really tough road trip. But yeah, it's nice to be able to love on them, give them a Thanksgiving meal at my home, get to see them outside an environment other than the gym.
Jacqueline Jarnett and Zoe Pillar have kind of picked up where they left off last season. It's nice as a coach to kind of look down and say, I can plug in those numbers every night.
Yeah, we knew that they were going to bring their expertise to the table, you know, and of course we've got Maddie Griffon who, you know, returned from last year's team. I think she's playing really good basketball for us right now too. And then we've got some new pieces that are trickling in. But to be able to have Zoe and Jack come in and give us solid minutes, and we know what they're going to give us night in and night out, and a lot of it's just effort. A lot of it's effort play and playing through tiredness and playing through fatigue, but we know they can carry that torch for us. You know, we've got to be able to maintain scoring. You know, we've gone through spurts in the games where we've had a tough time manufacturing points, so we've got to be able to kind of steady that out as we go through this weekend. But also we got to be able to defend some athletic kids that maybe don't look like us and don't play like us, but we've really got to be, you know, down and dirty with that kind of defense and making sure that we're getting every rebound.
Coach, happy Thanksgiving and good luck.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That's a look at the beginning of winter sports. We've got more to talk about when it comes to football. We're going to dive in and break down the playoff matchup with Delta State. Coach Shinnick returns next on the Coach Shinnick Show.
What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
What does Argos spirit look like? Is it finding the perfect Argo outfit to show your team pride? Is it giving back while getting your pre-game grub? Or is it connecting with your community in the perfect spot? At Penn Air Federal Credit Union, it's being a proud sponsor of UWF Education, the Alumni Association, athletics, Penn Air Field, and having a spirit of communerosity. Learn more at pennair.org/aboutus.
Welcome back in here to the Coach Shinnick Show in the Gooden Center right next to Penn Air Field, which hopefully, fingers crossed, if things go our way, we may have another game here before too long. But first, we got to take care of some business on the road. Cleveland, Mississippi, post-Thanksgiving weekend. We'll get a chance to go up there and have a rematch with Delta State. 8 weeks ago it was. They came here. Yeah. Double overtime game. It was heartbreak at the end of it. But you get another shot at them. That's just the way it works sometimes in the GSC and the D2 playoffs.
Well, we've said all along since we came into the league, you got to win the GSC twice because at some point in time you're going to have to play somebody that's either beaten you or you've beaten because that's just the nature of this conference. It's you know, it's just too good of a conference. And Delta State obviously took care of business with their 51-0 win over Fayetteville State in the first round. So, you know, they have been really fantastic all year long. I think you look at what they've done. You take 2 minutes away, or heck, man, probably even 30 seconds away from the West Georgia game, and they've been winning all their games. And so, credit to their staff what they've been able to do. And we had hoped that if we continued to play well, we felt like they would. We had hoped when we lost, well, hey, maybe there'll be an opportunity for this game down the line. Maybe if we played well enough, we'd get a shot at them. So really excited to be able to get this game, but know that they're playing at a very high level. Got the offensive player of the year. They've got numerous first-team all-conference players that I think, since our win, as we started to watch them and they've just gotten better and better and better, and really playing at a very high level.
Confidence is high, obviously, and a lot of that stems from what happened here in that game early in the season. But they're coming off that win, Fayetteville State. You mentioned it was a weird game. If you look at the stats, nobody really stood out, even Patrick Shagog and Dante Myers and some of the others, but they get a block punt as well for a touchdown and a fumble recovery for a touchdown that really flipped that game around.
Yeah, no, their defense was unbelievable as we break that down. I think, I want to say 4 out of the first 6 possessions, I think they created a turnover. They got the they got the scoop and score on the fumble. They got interceptions as Fayetteville State was going into the red zone. And then, the block punt. I mean, just everything that they did was, dominating. And so when you watch the film, you just go, okay, they're continuing to play at a really, really high level.
Is this really just a kind of strength-on-strength matchup? You guys know each other really well. Even though it was a while back you played, nobody's doing anything really different. It's just you got to show up, as you like to say, and play your best and let the cards fall.
Again, they've been as good as anybody in the conference. I'd like to think that we continued to get better throughout the course of the season. But I think what they're doing offensively, Patrick is playing at a very high level. They're running him a little more right now, using his legs, which he's very dangerous doing that. We saw what he can do throwing the ball against us, and I think their defense. We had a very good game offensively against them, but what we've seen is their defense continues to get better. They're playing a little more man coverage, and so mixing things up a little bit, which could create some problems. So we know we're going to have our hands full, and we know that they're going to be playing, at a high level, and we say our best is good enough, and we really have to be at our best to be able to have an opportunity in this game.
Some might argue your defense is playing a lot better than it was back in 8 weeks ago as well. Should be a fantastic game, kind of what this is all about. But also wanted to kind of mention for all the fans out there and for the coaching staff and everybody involved in a game like this. It's Thanksgiving week. These are student athletes that are in the late part of a semester, getting stuff done, trying to finish up a semester strong. They don't get to go home. They don't get to see their families. They stay with their football family. You guys get to take it on the road right after that. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be distractions, could go against you, but you've done it before. But this is really kind of what it's all about.
It is, and this is really what you practice for, and it's what you put yourself into. You want to be practicing on Thanksgiving. We're working with all our guys, obviously, meals and all that type of stuff. We got a lot of local guys that'll take some guys home, and then some guys will go to coaches' houses, that type of thing. But really, you want to be practicing at this point in time because that means you're one of the elite 16 teams, Sweet 16 teams that are playing. And so, but there is a lot, there really is, and trying to manage practice and getting it done. And, your scout team guys leaving, going home, still got to practice, still got to get things done. And so fortunately, we've done this a couple times in the last couple years. So we've got a pretty good routine. We know what it looks like. We know what to expect of our guys. And again, just to be able to have that opportunity to continue playing, you find ways to make it work.
Yeah, so we got to recognize all the families, the wives, the families, the kids that all are part of this process as well. Before we let you go, what's the one essential Thanksgiving side that you have to have? What does it have to be? Is it the sweet potato? Is it is the pie after?
Yeah, I'm pretty simple. I mean, some nice gravy, mashed potato, and then my wife makes it's a different type of dressing, stuffing type deal. Those three together, I mean, I'm good. I just fill that up on the plate. I'm good to go.
Watch some football, take a nap. That's the way it rolls. Coach, good luck to you coming up here on Saturday. We will be with you on the radio, ESPN Pensacola, the TuneIn app as well. And then, of course, check through GoArgos.com. You can find a stream to watch it. Argo Nation, wherever you are, should be fantastic on Saturday. If you're in the Cleveland, Mississippi area or anywhere in a wide radius.
Exactly.
Come on down. There's going to be a tailgate, I think, for Argos, faithful Argo Nation outside beforehand, and then we will see you next week after this game. Coach, appreciate the time as always. GoArgos.com. It's got all your information, the Argo Armada app as well, and we'll get you next time on the Coach Shinnick Show. Go Argos.